Welcome to Inspiring Possible. I'm Christy Pennison, former stuck person turned therapist and dream consultant. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, or just need a little inspiration? Then I want to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to create possibilities and live a life you love. Because, folks, life's too short to be miserable. Welcome back to another episode of Inspiring Possible. I am really excited because we have somebody joining us today who is literally probably on the other side of the world. Now, you might be listening from different places, but today I am very honored to have Dr. Abraham join us. And I think if you really would like some inspiration of how you can use your skills, talents, abilities to serve others in a deep and meaningful way, then I think this will be the conversation for you. So I hope you stay tuned as we get started. But Dr. Abraham, welcome so much to the show today. I know that you have done so many things, such as, start a foundation, be able to that serves a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, but I know that's not where you started. So tell me a little bit about your journey, if you don't mind sharing, that led you to where you are today.
Sure. I'll be happy to. I left for the United States at the age of 21 from India. But prior to that, I was in the Indian military. I was in the artillery as an officer. I was serving on the Chinese border with India. China and India had a war, and I was sent up there to establish gun positions to prevent the Chinese from crossing over. Uh, and it's at a high altitude at 14,000 feet above sea level. And it was called the highest battleground anywhere in the world at that time, very cold and minus degrees and so on.
Wow.
I was getting the soldiers to dig the bunkers to live there underground. And in an accident, I was blown up and I almost died. And that was a turning point in my life when I asked myself, why was I saved from being killed? And I was also inspired by a couple of books. One was by Albert Schweitzer. He won a Nobel Prize. He established a hospital in Gabon, Central Africa. And I was inspired because he took a journey from Germany by a small boat going through the rivers in Africa and ending up in this remote place and living with animals and the tribals and taking care of them. I thought it was very exciting, romantic, doing something like this. I was get,
Adventurous, yeah.
yeah, I was 18 and it all sounded good. And then I read another book by Bertrand Russell. He's a philosopher, a very well-known man. And he wrote a line which caught my attention, and that was, there is nothing right about war. It is about who is left. He was using right and left in a different way. And me being in the military as an officer, trained to kill people and fight wars, and I felt, hey, this is something that cannot be my calling. I must pursue something else. And I realized that I cannot enter into social service without making some money. And fortunately, I had the opportunity at 21 to come to America, do my graduate studies there. I did a doctorate from NYU. And after working for JP Morgan for 2, 3 years, I started my company. And that went on for 25 years. All along, I was interested in making money so that I can do what I had promised myself when I was 21. And and at the peak of my business career, I left India, and someone introduced me to a bunch of people in this part of the world near Bangalore. It's the Silicon Valley of India, and and I started a foundation which is serving people in rural areas on different things. We have a school called Shanti Bhavan, which is quite known now around many circles. These are for children from the poorest to the poor. And my goal is to offer them the kind of educational opportunities and caring and upbringing. They live with me uh, from the age of 4 and make them professionally successful and hopefully turn them into good human beings who will serve others. And that is my mission here. But I also run a hospital, a journalism college, a farm for empowering women, and one more. I think, yeah, I I worked for 5 years on lead poisoning prevention in India and was able to motivate oil companies to introduce unleaded gasoline throughout the country in the year 2000. So I did a number of things, but I finally found my love, and that is the school for children from the poorest homes. And I'm with them right now. There are some 300 plus living right here, and I just finished a talk with them, and I've been doing this for the last nearly 30 years.
That's amazing. Well, tell me, I'm curious, what was the talk about today with the kids?
I was talking, every Thursday night I talk to them different subjects. And sometimes it could be international affairs, war in Ukraine, any number of things. And this time it was about soft skills. But I had to tell them that my talk about soft skills is quite different in the sense that I explained to them that in order for you to be successful, you have to have soft skills, of course. But before that, it's hard skills or whatever you may call it, the skills, education and experience and so on. But soft skills also require to be a good human being. It's not enough to have, interpersonal skills and leadership qualities and all the things that you learn, in management schools, which I too went through. But they are important, communication skills, relationships, and so on. But you also need to be kind, caring, humble, compassionate, generous, whole lot of virtues that normally schools don't teach you. Certainly, my business school didn't teach me any of those things.
Yeah, I didn't go to business school, but actually I went to school for the soft skills because my background is as a mental health counselor,
Oh,
and so
wow.
we did
Okay.
learn it in that school, but I don't think it's taught in other schools.
Well, they leave it to homes, families to teach them.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure families spend that much time. They want their kids to do very well academically and get a great job, and that's about it. And if they do something wrong, they get scolding. Um, but this has to be a concerted effort by everyone involved to bring up children from the age of 4 when we have them. They are with us throughout the year, except for 2 months of holidays. During that time, when they are with them for almost 17 years, 18 years, we have the opportunity to mold them. And I was talking today that you got to do it when they are in preschool, kindergarten, not after they're grown up. And teach them if another kid is crying, go and find out and be kind and find the solution. If another a kid is having difficulty doing some task, go and help and say something nice. You teach them from the age of 4. Maybe I don't know. I have no. I'm just trying to experiment new things beyond talking. Beyond talking, that's
Yeah.
all I can do and put into practice what they can realize for themselves from being kind and caring and and humble. And if they do that and do that maybe from an early age, maybe they will turn out to be people with a heart. And that's what
Yeah.
I was talking about today.
And we do need people with a heart, right? I mean, I don't know if you agree on this, but I'd like more people in the world with heart, with kindness, with generosity, with, compassion and understanding. And it doesn't mean that you have to just not be yourself, but to be realizing that we're all these human beings on a journey, together. So,
Right. You are in a career where you have to have a lot of compassion for people. You are the mental
mhm.
health area, and it's a tough profession. I know, but I feel that in every business, business with a heart, business with some empathy, the managers don't have to be terribly hard. They can do their business, be good to the communities they serve, be good to their employees, and reach out to people. They can reach out. There are so many different ways corporations can make a difference. Frankly, there is so much wealth in this world, maybe in the hands of 5% of the population, maybe even less, 2% of the population. They have so much wealth, enough to initiate educational programs and many other things that can lift people from poverty. They have the opportunity to succeed too. And that's what I am trying to do by coming over all the way in the peak of my career, as I said, serving people who don't have an opportunity to do that.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute because, I'm sure this wasn't just an easy path to say, I'm gonna do this foundation, I'm gonna do this school. Like it didn't just pop up overnight. Is that right?
That's very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So I'm curious, two things. What helped you hold the vision for as long as you did, from that 21-year-old that says, "I wanna make a difference, and this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go to America, figure out ways, again, my education, so that I can make the money to be able to give back and use that generously to help others." But how did you hold the vision for that long in your life to get to where you're at now? And then how did you push through obstacles you might have faced?
Very good question. People don't often think about what it takes to achieve something like that. Well, don't forget that I should be alive today. So that's a good enough reason to
That's
do what I.
that's a reason. I was there almost dying, and then I realized I wanna do something of impact, yeah.
Right, that's right. Second was I had seen poverty. India was extremely poor when I was 21. There was so much of famine, and that had affected me. And the third was I was observing social discrimination. India has a caste system of its own, untouchables, and so on. And that offended me. I said, "This is absolutely unacceptable. I have to do something to break the cycle of poverty and discrimination for at least a few people, whomsoever I can touch." And I came up with a different model, and that is you cannot change people's attitude towards others. If they treat them badly, they discriminate, they think they are lower than you, no amount of preaching is going to do. Those people who are at the bottom, they have to rise somehow. And the only way they can rise is through an education, an opportunity to rise. And I have to give them the opportunities. So the path to social justice is through a good education or through economic opportunity. So I decided to go the economic opportunity route and give the children under my care the very best I can give. Best school in India, just as good as money can buy, but all free. And do that so that they go on to become successful, and they in turn, hopefully, if they are good human beings, hopefully they will reach out to others and spread what was given to them.
Yeah.
That was, and in the process, did, your question was the obstacle. So I had this conviction, and I want to prove to myself in my life that I'll achieve this. I had made quite a bit of money, and decided to spend it all on this. And, and so I came here almost 30 years ago, and all this stuff that I'm doing and the infrastructure and everything else was done initially at my own expense until I ran into some financial difficulties in 2008, 2007, the financial crisis of the world.
Mhm.
And so I decided to reach out to donors, and they came forward because I had done quite a bit of work by then. They could see the fruits of my work. So they trusted me and they came forward. And that's another lesson. Sometimes, people start the NGO world enter and they say people are not willing to help. You only have a few people and they're who are your friends, and then may not be rich enough to help you. So how do you demonstrate? Luckily for me, I had the money to demonstrate. So I was able to attract. Today, we are stronger than ever financially. Of course, we need money to keep doing what we are doing and to expand what we are doing. I feel that obstacle we are trying to overcome. But then there are so many other obstacles. People don't trust you. They ask questions. The poor people ask, why should a man come from America and spend all his money on them? Why should they teach us?
There must be a
Somebody
catch. Yeah. There
yeah, why should they teach somebody else's child? Spend all the money. They ask, does he have a hidden agenda? Is he trying to convert the kids into Christianity or take them away to a foreign country? And the village leaders say, oh, these people are trying to change their community, and then we won't have anyone to work for us. They're changing the social status of these people. So there are so many different objections people have, and then you have to deal with corruption and threats and a whole lot of things. And the answer to your question is you have to be persistent. You have to be very determined to achieve your goals. And that's something I learned in the army. It's something I learned in business. And I could say that I am reasonably tough.
Yeah, I would agree. Just by hearing a little bit of your story, I would agree. Reasonably tough, right? Maybe actually more than reasonably, I mean, because you do have to be persistent. And I'm sure that was there ever a time when you're embarking on really, and I can hear your story of like, I'm working to not only change, and you're also working to change some very set cultural belief systems that are very
Yes.
ingrained, right? That you have obstacles
Right.
against. I mean, has there ever been a time where you were like, "Should I give up?" I'm just curious.
Give up? No.
Okay.
I realized that I was in danger, even physical danger. I realized that my finances were dwindling. That worried me like hell. I thought I had made
Mhm.
enough money, and money is something that can disappear very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, Especially if all your investments are worth less
Well,
than
and especially
half.
when you're growing something, like you starting this from the ground up and putting all of your personal into it, that yeah, the
Yeah,
dream
that
can suck
that's
up the money quickly, huh?
right. Unless you are Bill Gates or something like that, uh, my initial model, is not appropriate. You have to reach out to people. But the question is, when do you reach out? When can you have credibility? And so I wouldn't say my model was totally wrong, but maybe a few years earlier, I should have begun to reach
Ask.
out. Yeah. Don't wait for everything to be absolutely perfect before you go to other people. So, and then they may say he doesn't need any money. Why should I help? So there are many factors until I really got myself into trouble. And I told people, listen, I got into trouble. I need you to help me. And they saw what I had done and they were willing to help me. So it can work both ways. But if someone wants to get into the arena of social service, there are a few things they have to remember. And I'll be happy to talk about them.
Oh, yes, please do. Tell us. What are some things that you would say you definitely have to remember just to keep on the forefront? Because I think if anything in life, when you really are trying to make something out of nothing, really, which is what you're doing, right, for this community, they didn't have, I'm assuming they probably didn't have this level of schooling or some of the, even the healthcare systems that you put in or the journalism stuff, like all of that stuff. What would you say are the things that people need to consider if they're trying to bring a vision like
Right.
this to life?
The first thing is they must ask themselves honestly, do I have a genuine commitment to improving other people's lives? If don't have an inner drive for it, it's unlikely that you will continue for a long time. You may start something and excitement and then suddenly run an obstacle and you give up. So it could be a religious calling. It could be a moral responsibility you realize. It could be that you are searching for a purpose in life. You have made tons of money, but you are not a happy man or a woman. Or it could be that you want a life where you have your own professional or business activity, but it's not fulfilling everything. And you also want to have something going on the side where you see the results of your work, where a child is, getting educated, or some families coming out of poverty, all those things. And you get a lot of satisfaction interacting with those individuals whom you are trying to save. So you are not necessarily dealing with your business colleagues, but you are dealing with someone totally alien, and you find satisfaction. So there could be different, multiple reasons, but underlying all those reasons is your desire to make the world better, your desire to contribute to another person's life. And if you don't have a very good drive for it, or a passion for that, you are likely to continue. So the first thing is ask yourself honestly what you're doing. Second
And if
is
you don't, you can still give in other ways, right? Like, if you realize this is not for you, you don't wanna put in the work, but you still care about people, you can, guys, you know, give to people that are doing the work, right?
exactly people like me
That's
who
right.
are you are I am their agent for change. They
Yes,
don't have to do it. I do the work for you. Give
that's
me some
right.
money.
That's
Give me some,
right.
do
And I
some
will make it go far and impact a lot of people's lives, right? Yeah.
right, and I let you know. I let you know what your money has done for you. I
Yeah.
can send pictures and tell their testimonials. A lot of things I can do for you. So you get your satisfaction that your money wasn't wasted. Okay. That's
Yeah.
something you're correct. You're correct in pointing out that you don't have to get into the mud with me. The second, and the second one is that it always helps. It always helps if you have money to spare. See, the thing about social work, you don't make any money, you only spend money. There is no such thing as making money from the poor. So the words they use, social entrepreneurships and all, it never worked. Poor people can't be easily dishing out money to you. You get into it to help them, and you have to find economic ways of helping them. So having some money of your own helps. And the third is having people, like-minded people who are willing to join you. That gives you a lot of assurance. And if they are willing to take turns and visit the project, you visit one time, they come another time, or you go as a group and have some fun and see what's going on. Find joy for yourself. Whatever makes it exciting for you, do that. At the same time, don't forget, you can live in luxury. When you go to a poor place, you can still check into a five-star hotel and still come out of it and do your work. I'm not against any of those. You don't have to live in a hut to do good work.
One of the things I didn't tell you is early on, I did get exposed. I grew up in Louisiana in the United States, but I did get
Right, right,
exposed on doing and visiting different countries that had a different level of poverty than, I was exposed to growing up. And those moments were very transformative to me. And when I was younger, I did trek off to such places and
right.
live in a hut and things like that, right? But I have realized you can still have abundance and serve, and that service doesn't mean any different whether you're roughing it in a tent with the bats hanging over your head, or, whether you're staying in a nice place and still being able to go and serve those that are less
Right.
fortunate, yeah, that have had
Uh,
not as much opportunity as you, yeah.
yeah, you are better than me. You can live in a hut and do this job. I can't. I need
No,
to
no, I
become
don't know if I could live in a hut anymore. I don't know. That was the 20-year-old me, okay,
right.
19
Yeah,
to 20-year-old
exactly.
me,
At
okay?
18, I could do. At 18, I could do.
Yeah.
Today, I have to.
Now
Today,
I'm
I
a
have
little bit
to.
further. I'm not saying I could live in a hut for a night or 2 or 3, but ongoing, I don't know if I don't know if I'm Mother Teresa. Let's just put it out that way, okay?
Right, right, right. I agree with you. After a certain age, you can't do that. You have to
Mhm.
have yourself taken care of, and then you can take care of others.
Well, and I think this is a good point because, what you're trying to build right now is something that I'm assuming you want to go on even after you're here, right? Is
Correct,
that what I would
correct.
assume? Yeah. So, I
Sure.
mean, you have to, and it sounds like you have a very, which I very much appreciate hearing your story, is you have a very long term vision of like, I need to make this sustainable. And I think
Correct.
sometimes people will not move forward on things they're very passionate about creating change in the world because
Right.
they're like, "Okay, do I have to give up everything to be able to create and promote change for those that maybe not have the same opportunity as I've been given?" But it sounds like to me what you're saying is that you can still pour your life's work into creating change and social change and opportunities to uplift people out of poverty situations and still be able to maintain a quality of life that you're okay with. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
You're absolutely sure. Absolutely correct. If you don't do that, you will get depressed. You have to be able to travel a little bit once in a way and see the beauty of this planet. You have to have intellectual dialogue with people. You can't be always in the midst of poor people and not be able to have that interaction. All those are important. Whatever is important to you, you have to take care of those things too. It doesn't mean that you have to throw a lot of money into luxuries for yourself. Just be modest and yet do the things that will bring you, a certain level of comfort and certain level of joy and certain wonder in life. All that you must do, then you can do a better job. That's my personal opinion. I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here starving and, for anything. I am comfortable. I'm not saying I'm in luxurious life. I'm comfortable, and I have some. I work with some 120 staff members. With this foundation's work in many things, and the joy of working with them. You know, that is another very important aspect. The people you are with, you must love them. You have to enjoy what they are. Them need not have PhD degrees or anything like that. They are bright people on their and they are capable of doing wonderful work, and they are the ones who make things happen. Not you. I don't touch anything. I'm sitting here and giving marching orders.
But like you said, you have to build a team, and it reminds me of that quote, and I think I've said it on this podcast. It's something I've learned in my life because I think me and you are kindred spirits as even from a young age for myself, I knew that I wanted to pursue something that would be in service to others, and that's always been something that's very important to me. And my role has changed in that a lot over the
Right,
years,
right.
but I have learned that if you wanna go fast, sure, go alone, but if you really wanna go far, go together, and you have to be able to surround yourself with people that have that shared vision, those shared values. They might have different skills than you, and you need people with different
Yeah,
skills than
yeah,
you
yeah.
to be
Certainly.
able to do some of this work, and it sounds like your skills of what you've learned through even your background in finance and learning through your, role in business has been translatable to now a huge foundation, and people need leaders. So they need
Right,
somebody to help guide and lead, and leading is not always it can be hard. I mean, would you
right,
agree?
right. Absolutely. You hit all the right things, and you mentioned a
Yeah.
couple of things, sustainable, and you want to pass it on. You use some right words. I am now trying to create a transition team because I won't live forever. I have to pass it on.
What? You're not living forever?
I have to create the transition team, and I'm working on it. Build up young talent who will take over. And I want to be there as long as I can mentally, more than physically. That's my only wish, that I'm mentally fit. So far, it's holding up. And and then then
You still a young spring chicken, yeah, the mental fitness though, that's true because, once that goes, it sounds like you're very sharp to have created everything that you've been able to influence, so losing the mind would be kind of not the ideal, is that what I'm hearing?
right, I have a feeling that I might outlast. a few others, but I don't know. We'll
We'll see.
we'll see. But you're right. You have to make it sustainable. You have to also, at some point, be humble enough to say others can do better than you now, and you need to. It's time has come for you to hand over. You know, you must be willing to do that. You don't cling on to it until the very end, and then help them achieve what you would like to achieve. All that is important. One other point I want to tell those who wish to enter this arena, unless you have strong willpower and persistence, it's going to be tough because poor people and these difficult situations make people behave and act very differently from us. Poverty has different dimensions, and you cannot put the same standard on poor people. And you say, oh, she broke her word. Oh, she is not grateful to me. You can't talk like that. They are doing those things because they're trying to survive. And
Yeah.
people who are trying to survive act very differently. So your ability to forgive, forget, and be persistent, if you're not that type of person and you want results next moment, it won't work.
Yeah. Well, and I think about what you're saying too is, it's just remembering. I think about, I'm sure you've heard of this before, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where
Yes.
it's like the safety and security, the basic needs. And the truth is when people are in survival, they're not going to be thinking about thanking you for anything, right? They're just trying
Right,
to
right.
survive, right? And they don't have as much access to whether it be resources, like you said, education, knowledge, whatever that is. So they are just trying to get to the next day. So what I'm hearing you say is that if you have to be able to be willing to be persistent and focused on
Yes.
doing the greater good, even when those that you are serving may not always be able to acknowledge what you are trying to give or trust in it, like you said earlier, because you have to build and establish that trust because what you're trying to do is such a foreign probably concept of like somebody's wanting to help me and there's nothing that I'm really having to give in return. I think that that's a
Right.
foreign concept for a lot of people.
Right, right. You hit the point very well. You have to start with a decision or a determination that you are not going to be looking for reward or recognition.
Mhm.
That is tough. That is tough, Christy, because we are built to want recognition and to say to yourself, okay, nobody recognizes me, that's fine. I keep doing my work. That's a tough thing to do. But if you can work towards that, then you are unlikely to have too many disappointments. When you want recognition or reward, that's when you don't get it and you are not happy. So
Yeah.
if you don't have that, you are okay.
Is there anything you've been able to do mentally for yourself to be able to, like, sustain your willpower? I'm just curious because I know some people just intrinsically have it, but I wonder if there's anything that you do, practices or maybe talk to yourself, I don't know, to help you sustain in this journey.
I am very good at reflecting on what has happened. I ask myself why it happened and how can I make it better. I very seldom brood over what was lost. Uh, that's gone. I have to look forward. So my attitude is always finding the next solution.
Yeah.
So mentally, I am geared up like that.
Mhm.
I never sit and feel sorry for myself or worry about this, spilled milk. Um, those are things that I practice, not to be consumed by any of those things.
Yeah. Well, and it has to be a practice, I'm sure, because I mean, every day you're probably different dealing with different challenges or problems or like you said, even sometimes maybe threats to safety. I mean, it's all kind of different things you probably deal with on a day to
Right.
day. So it's just how can you reflect on, and I think reflection is a big thing. I can even think for me in my journey, there can be days where I might be like, maybe not having the best day, but then I have to reflect on, especially even what I do have, right? A lot of times we can forget that, like,
Right.
this is what I have, this is what I've been given, this is where it's different from other people, and this is where I get to be able to use those things, but it's just pushing through, yeah.
Right, right. Absolutely correct. You know, in the midst of all your disappointments, you're likely to find something that you can laugh about or be happy about, you know?
Yeah. Well, listen, I know that you have a book coming out for those people that really are wanting to move mountains or, and cross over some mountains as well. So maybe if for those that are listening and they're like, man, I'm really inspired by just kind of hearing your story about what you're doing. Maybe they want to read the book or find out more about you. Where would you say for them to go to find you?
The book is a few months, from publication. It's going
Okay.
through editing is over now. It's being put together, and then there's some promotion and all that has to happen. In January, the book will be in bookstores and internet and so on. It's called Mountains to Cross. Mountains to Cross, I meant the obstacles you have to overcome to succeed, and you'll find something wonderful on the other side. And how do you get there? That wonderful is satisfaction. The wonderful is a purpose in your life. And you have to cross many obstacles. And I tell my story from childhood. And each stage, I tell the story, what I learned from there. Each stage, whether it is in the high in the Himalayas, fighting the Chinese, or going through graduate school, it doesn't matter. Where in my business, I try to communicate the lessons that I have learned. And in my book, the way I've done it is my conversations with the children that I am bringing up. I am not
Oh, I
talking to the
love it.
audience. I'm talking to the children and I am guiding them. Like this evening, what I did, that is my way of communicating to the world. So feel that I'm not going to offend anyone because I'm only talking to the children, you know.
Yeah.
And this way I'm safe. But it is a book that will tell the readers how I did it. How did I enter the social service arena? The lessons I have learned, how did I overcome my obstacles? How did I set my goals and achieve them? All that is covered. And in the process of reading it, hopefully, someone who wants to enter the arena or is teaching a professor who is teaching this social service arena, they they want to know about how the poor think about these things. Because I've been living in the midst of poor people for 30 years. I think I know quite a lot about how poverty works. So I have something to offer. This is a practical book. It's not by some theoretical person, theoretical writing by a person who hasn't really lived this. I lived for all these years. So I have a good idea. And I come from America and I've gone through the luxuries of America too. So the contrast is there for me and
Different, yeah.
I can speak to others.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. We'll make sure, we're definitely gonna link up all your contact information, so if people wanna kinda find out more about you, and I'm
Thank you.
sure at that point in January, y'all will put some information on your website about that book so that people can be
Right,
able to
right.
get that. Yeah.
And in the
Yeah.
meantime, if you want to know more about the work I do or the foundation or somebody wants to volunteer and so on, they can find me. Just Google my name. Abraham George is my name. Abraham for Abraham Lincoln and George for George Washington. So Abraham
Yeah.
George, and you'll hit so many sites and blogs and many things, so you can connect.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll make sure we have all that linked up. Well, and you know what's interesting, and I know you've already probably thought about this, but is the fact that there was some books that were very pivotal in your life that kind of inspired you along the journey, as you referenced at the beginning of our
Right.
conversation. And so, hopefully, this book will also be an inspiration to younger versions of you that are walking around. And so that leaves me with one of my final questions: is if you were to go back to maybe 21-year-old you or a younger version of you and give yourself one piece of advice or give yourself a word of encouragement, what is something maybe you would tell younger you if you're able to go back and talk to yourself?
If I talk to myself, I would say I would be thinking about how do I do this? How do I get there? Uh, i- the idealism may have born in me, but it's a long way from turning idealism into practical reality. And in my case, I realized right up front that I have to make money first. And I have to do everything I can possibly, work real hard and to make that money and take some risks in getting there. And there were so many risks I took to build up my business. And the business story itself is, maybe useful to some people who are trying to do well in business. From the basement of my apartment to a market leader in the area of international corporate finance, with offices in several countries, I was able to do that. And that was for a different end, make money so I can do what I'm doing today. And of all the things I've done, the toughest job is what I'm doing today
Yeah.
because it's not a very rational way people behave. You are in a world, people are driven by their conditions, their, predicament. It's not like businessmen trying to sell a product, and if you're very rational, maybe you will buy your product. This is not that. And secondly, a lot of your work has to be driven by your heart.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was about to say. When you were telling me all this, it's like really honestly, this work that you're doing is the heart work. Like you're teaching the kids today about how do you lead from your heart and have those soft skills. And so well, Dr. Abraham George, I want to thank you for just coming on today, sharing your story. This has been inspirational for me. It's got my brain thinking of what other things that I can do to serve others. And so I may have to call you later, a few months down the road and tell you what it sparked in me. But I just
Oh, even
appreciate.
better, even better, come and visit us.
Look, you know what? I haven't actually I used to do volunteer work, and it's been since 2017. I went to Liberia, and it's been a minute, and so maybe you will be the next stop I'll take to come visit you. Yes.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Wonderful,
'Cause I
Christy.
love it. I mean, it re-inspires me to continue, like you said, to do work that, sometimes not everybody gets or not everybody always appreciates. It's the hard work to continue to go. So, I appreciate you on your journey of you didn't even just stop from, like, I got to America, I've built this huge business, and it ended there. You continue to follow through on your vision to be able to support, and empower others to rise out of poverty through education and other social services work. So I just want to acknowledge and appreciate you for doing that work for as long as you've been doing it to get to where it is today.
Thank you. Thank you, Christy. When listening to you, I realize you say the right things. You say the right words in describing many things, and that is wonderful. Obviously, you have yourself gone through some of these experiences.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I just appreciate finding other heart-driven people along the journey. So, and it sounds like you're one of those. So
Right.
if you are listening, you know that I give you one piece of just something that I'm taking away from the conversation today. And there's a lot of things, obviously, and I'm excited for the book to come out so I can read it myself. But just remember, no matter where you are on the journey, you can lead with your heart, as Dr. Abraham George said, and guess what? You can make the world better, whether it be in a small way or a big way. Just think about maybe that's something you can reflect on today is how can I make the world that I'm living in better? And so until next time,
That's all for today on Inspiring Possible. If you found a little inspiration today, please go on over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen to leave us a comment and rate us. Also, make sure and link up with me at inspiringpossible.com to get the free Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to be inspired. Remember, if you can believe it, it's possible.